Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. Okay, Babylon the Great is fallen, And one thing it says about Babylon, and a lot of you understand this or know this, Jeremiah 51 and all those verses where people think America is going to be destroyed because America is Babylon. Well, I have something interesting. Right in the middle there is what some of you would recognize immediately. That giant green diamond, that green island of survival. And I made it a diamond. Yes, you did, Father. Okay, so it's a diamond. I've measured it on a full screen computer with a quick angle, which is a construction thing for measuring angles, so you can measure the inside and cut your boards, and they're correct. That is a diamond. It's a perfect. I mean, I drew it out so it was, at the exact corner. I can do it here. Sorry. Well, settings, measurement, feet and miles. There's St. Louis. I'm just I can't see it. Not bad, close shape. Okay, get this out of the way. It's not. That's not a perfect diamond. I mean, I on my big computer, and I wish I could had it. Just by the way, since we enclose the shape, you can see that's 50,000 square miles. It's a big area, and that's a little bit into the river valleys. But that gives you a general idea. Okay, so bingo. All right. So here's my point: is you notice that is the white dotted lines to the east is the Mississippi River line, because that's what the borders are. Mississippi River is a border. When you come up on the north end of it, up to Kansas City, Missouri River runs that way. This is Kansas City over here. Where you saw that. St. Louis is here. There you go. Kansas City's over here. Tulsa's over here. And then Little Rock is the dot down here. You could look at those, screenshot that if you want. That'd give you the longitude, latitude. Okay, so my point on this is, and I don't want to belabor this because I don't want to be up all night. It's already pumpkin o'clock, 11:46. Not good. So here's my point. Do I have one? Yeah, I think I do. This is a very weird place. I've said that repeatedly. I've got a lot of maps out there. Maps of the OzArk Plateau, how to get to Goshen. Might be OzArk Plateau REFUGIUM, how to get to Goshen. Okay, 500 miles from Mexico, 500 miles from Canada, 500 miles from the Rockies, 500 miles from the Appalachians. Oddly enough, right in the middle of the United States. This is not a coincidence, people. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that there's 2.5 billion gallons of fresh, ice-cold, crystal clear, mineral-rich, healing water coming out of the ground every single day. 2.5 billion gallons. And that's just the first 3 magnitudes of springs. There are 8 magnitudes of springs. That means there may be another 2.5. There may be another 20 billion gallons of water coming out of the ground every day. There's no way to know. Because you go swimming in a river and it might be 100 degrees, and all of a sudden you're almost frozen from a 3-foot hole in the river, and the spring's coming out. That's why a lot of the rivers flow so fresh and clear all the time, and why they have big trout in them. Okay, so I'm going to proceed to go to my thingy bubber. Yeah. Photos. Photomotos. Okay. So I want to go through these. I'm just going to go through them fairly quick for right now. These are maps of showing shale, oil deposits, oil fields, and coal deposits. Now, if you're an observant person, you can notice something, that there's a lot of them out there. I love this one because look at that diamond right in the middle of it. It is surrounded, the OzArk Plateau is surrounded by oil and coal. There is no oil and coal in the OzArk Plateau. And this is something I have been saying repeatedly. Oh man. Anybody happen to know why they frack? They frack to release the oil, right? To lubricate it, so that they push it. They push water. They pump water down in because oil floats, right? Oil is lighter than water. I mean, recently I opened a can of coconut oil, but it had been in a 6-gallon steel pail sitting outside, and cool and hot, frozen repeatedly. So it moisture condensed around the rim. It would have been okay because the can is sealed, and I knew that. It has a waterproof food grade liner in it, sealed liner, but the top was not sealed. So every time it froze, it got moisture and it got in there and it rusted. So the stuff was like rusty. So I poured it into a jar. It was a hot day, and I poured it into a jar. Well, it got cold, and I'm looking at it going, why is there water on the bottom? Because oil floats. Okay, so oil floats. They pump water down, the oil comes up. Well, that oil is like the blood of the earth, the lubrication of the earth's joints, so it causes earthquakes. Okay, it creates lubrication, right? Well, once that lubrication is gone, that's why you have pain. Well, the earth is doing the same thing. It's getting sore. That's why you have earthquakes wherever they frack. If you watch Dutch Sense, he's tracked so many earthquakes, and he looks like, oh, there's an oil field there. Earthquake, oil field. He said if I had every, and he's got a map with pinpoints on them. And he said if I kept track of every one of them, the entire map would be covered. All right, so point being is fracking causes earthquakes, and earthquakes cause not good things. That's might have already done that one, but Cherokee Platform, Antrim, yeah, looks similar. You can see the shape of the OzArk Plateau there, down toward Fayetteville, Woodford. Doesn't have Kansas City on there, but doesn't really have cities. It's just the locations. Similar. Lower 48 state shale plays. These are shale plays. Current plays, prospective plays. The orangish yellow stuff is prospective plays. That's the shallowest, youngest, intermediate depth, age. You can find the maps yourself. Look at them. You've heard about the Bakken oil field up there in North Dakota. They're fracking, pumping water down in, getting oil out, and causing hell with the earth. Now, I don't know if you watched Dutch Sins, but I used to watch them a lot. And several times I've been there with my son David. And several times we both watched some really bizarre things as he was doing them. And one of them was that he had said, thank God they're not stupid enough to frack over the magma chambers in Yellowstone, under Yellowstone. And then a few days later, he used an F-word, F-bomb. He goes, the world has gone crazy. They're fracking over the magma chambers of Yellowstone. And then they discovered oil magma chambers supposedly 11 times the size of the Grand Canyon, further to the southwest of Yellowstone. So, all right, so these are just three other maps kind of showing the same thing. Oil in a lot of places. So the OzArk Plateau, this guy says, has no oil field underneath. The city of Jerusalem will have a wall of fire around it. Somebody find a reference for that. The oil fields will be ignited because all are connected and are underneath the majority of North American continent. And I said, "Oh, dude, that's spooky. Oh, dude, that is spooky," with a thumbs up. It's true. PBS had a program about that. Find the oil fields. Fracking on the dotted Creighton line is an article I wrote. And he says, it'll only take one to be set on fire and it will spread underground, which is true. Wall of fire, right. Underground fires have been burning for 100 years in some places, coal fires. I said that. I knew that from So this gives whole new meaning to the supposedly Corrie ten Boom saying that she saw a wall of fire around the OzArk Plateau. Wow, you know. PF said if a terrorist ignited it, well, I think that's what, it would take only one to be set on fire, it would spread. PBS actually talked about a terrorist igniting it. So my son, David, and I were watching Dutch Sins one time. And as we were looking at it, he was saying how they're fracking on the Creighton, the edge of the Creighton. And he was constantly pointing that out. And my son and I were like, oh my gosh, they're fracking on the, I wrote an article, fracking on the dotted Creighton line so that parts of the United States would fall off. He didn't say that, but we both said that. We both said, man, that you frack too much, it'll crack and perforated, cut on the dotted line, cut on the dotted line, when you have a cardboard to perforate it, you just rip it and it cracks, or you bend it once or twice and it cracks off and pops off. Yep. So the next day, my son, that was on Saturday, Sabbath evening. My son-in-law called me and said, I just saw last night they're fracking on the Creighton's edge. And he said, they're going to drop parts of the United States into the ocean. I said, Jeff, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And then I said, you probably saw that the exact same second that David and I were watching the same Dutch Sins and saw that. So it was just kind of confirmation that it happened. Weird, things like that don't happen all the time. Yes, they do. To me, they do. GWEX. Gee, what an amazing coincidence. The only place there is no oil is the OzArk Plateau. One map I've seen show all continent with shale except the OzArk and Osage Plateau. I think there's one. That's its last one, I think. No, there's more. So just a word to the wise and kind of odd coincidence. I mean, that one thing about maps of the OzArk Plateau, I pulled up so many maps and they all showed very clearly no matter what it was, the OzArk Plateau stood out like a sore thumb. So there's that hymn, a wall of fire around us, we've nothing now to fear. Yeah, that may be truer than, might be very true. There's another one. I think that was it. Nope, that's not it. That was another one. Okay, so there we go. All right. Now, I don't know if I can do this. I have to do another video. Let me try, because I want to just finish this up. That's as big as it gets. All right. So then I went outside to get that flag behind me, just because I wanted to do it. And I also thought about getting one of the rocks that I pick up all the time, and I did that. There's one right by the trailer door. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so the weird thing about it is, I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with fractal. A fractal antenna. Fractals are a repeating pattern, geometric patterns. And then you have the idea of the whole universe is fractal. It's holographic. In other words, a tiny part of the universe is the whole universe. And so I constantly was finding rocks that were shaped in the diamond shape. And a lot of them would have one end mussed off. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Like over by St. Louis, the edge is rounded off because we're in the Mississippi River and the Missouri River. But on all of them, every one I would find, the southern edge was always really steep and really thick. I don't know if you can see that. There's the southern edge, southern corner. I can set that down and show you. Don't drop it on the phone, man. That's not the top, that's the edge. There's the whole thing. That ain't coming out too good. Okay, so my thought is, what if all that lubrication on the edge allows parts to loosen up and there's a great earthquake? What would happen if there's a massive amount of hydraulic pressure, which there is, 2.5 billion gallons of water coming out every day? And my conjecture is, I ask a question, which kind of gives you the answer. Where did that water come from? Did that water come from outside of the OzArk, outside of the firmament? Why is it ice cold, you know? So, what if it tilted? Let me see. See if I can see it. Living on, if you're going to build a house on a hill, build it on the south side, would be my take on it. I mean, I'm not going to go into any more than that. Although, on the map, one time on my Droid Razor Max phone, first smartphone I had, I handed it to a guy and said, "Here's the OzArk Plateau." And he said, "There's a pyramid there." And I went, "What?" And he showed it to me, and I was like, it was very clear. It was like Tulsa was lit up, Kansas City was lit up, St. Louis was lit up, Springfield's right dead center, and I can almost see it right now. And then the highway was lit up, so you could see a line from St. Louis to Tulsa, right down 44. And it was like a line, and then Springfield is the peak of the pyramid. So what if it tilted and the pyramid would point to the North Star? That's just my wondering, my oddball conjecture. Another thing is that if you draw a line from the southern corner, from Little Rock through Kansas City, it goes to Turtle Mountain. I've done that before, but there's Kansas City, and I'm going to try to go in a straight line. I already do it right. You do it on a bigger computer better. 1,000 miles, you're at Turtle Mountain, which is an artificial plateau. An artificial plateau, did you hear me? Artificially built plateau. 50 miles wide. Okay, so, little tidbit there. How to do Mount Magazine. Another time. Another day, another dollar. Okay, so anyway, the OzArk Plateau is very weird. But I kid you not, I picked up so many rocks and they would be really thick on the south edge. And so I told the sister that, and she goes, "Well, why is that?" I said, "I don't know. I just keep picking them up." So that night I prayed. I said, "Father, why is the southern edge always so, thick and so steep and so straight?" Because of the pounding of the ocean waves. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, I mean, it's just, the answer was there before the question was out of my mouth. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. But especially if it was tilted up, it would create a heck of a wall for military to not be able to get into. So, I've divulged enough there. I think that my belief is that geographically, hydrologically, demographically, that means the people here, hydrologically, the water here, what would be the word for aqualogically, rivers, lakes, streams, rainfall, whatever that word is, atmospherically, and energy, free, enough energy to power anything you want. That I believe in supernaturally and angels. I believe that this is going to be a very well protected place. So, And beyond that, I'm not going to say anymore. I was able to get that flag up. I had to stand on stuff. So I was able to barely get up there and put the big old fat push pins in, but I found a book there that I stepped on. So, yeah, had a good old token book to help me out. Where is it? I can't see it. It's hard. I needed something to step on because of the cushion. My foot was going to either go through the, the mattress or break a spring or something, or break my neck or break my knee. So anyway, I was able to do that. All right, well, there you go. For what it's worth, department. Hopefully this isn't too long. If it's even still recording. Yeah, it is. 20 minutes. That's way plenty long. Okay, that's it. This is Jerry Diamond. If you're listening to this, you are the Remnant. Hopefully this will come out good.